Warner Brothers Games chief David Haddad to exit. An exclusive report from Variety. He's leaving his role after 12 years leading the division. He's going to stay for 3 months while they look for a replacement. And what they said specifically was, David has thoughtfully and purposefully chosen a time when our release schedule is lighter, which will help minimize disruption to our ongoing projects and strategic plans to allow this team to smoothly prepare for its next record-breaking title. So he's headed out. It's not exactly clear why. I mean, this is also telling. Haddad's exit comes out on the heels of a bumpy few quarters for Warner Brothers Gaming results, with lackluster performance of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, to say the very least. Also, they, of course, compared it to the Hogwarts Legacy performance, but Zaslav and CFO Gunnar Weidenfels have both noted the plan is to increasingly shift focus from AAA games that take years to make and shift to always online live service titles and mobile game offerings like Game of Thrones Conquest. The company is also intent on prioritizing titles from its top IP, including Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and the DC Universe, and Mortal Kombat. It sounds to me like Mr. Haddad was one of the last holdouts of the single player game prioritization faction, whatever, at Warner Brothers. And over the last few years, I mean, it's been kind of jarring because you'll hear this guy, Haddad, mentioning how they're focused on those single player experiences, how they want to like double down on what made Hogwarts Legacy great. Because I think he understood that Hogwarts Legacy gave players what they wanted in a Harry Potter format. And that's why it worked out so great. But then you would hear David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, who has single-handedly been tanking the company for the last handful of years. You would hear him say, no, we're shifting all of our stuff towards live service, multiplayer offerings. We want to make sure that we can offer players games that live for years, that we can monetize with cosmetics and things. We want to also bring those games to mobile devices because the mobile gaming market is massive. And it's the quintessential example of when an executive who knows nothing about gaming literally thinks like, you all have phones, don't you? If we make a Harry Potter game that runs on your phone, you'll be happy because it's a Harry Potter game that runs on your phone and you have a phone. Like, there is no consideration for what kinds of games are on the mobile devices, on what kinds of games players want on console versus, single player versus live service. There's no conceptualization of any of that. It's all just game on this device, of which there are many. Boom. And then if we can make it a live service game, it'll make more money. Let's just make a Harry Potter Fortnite game. Can we do that? That's the level we're dealing with here. And my sneaking suspicion, as I'm sure many of you are also perhaps considering, is that finally the headbutting was just at its end. And David Haddad was like, I swear to God, if you turn Hogwarts Legacy 2 into a live service game, people are going to freak out and it will flop. And you're going to waste hundreds of millions of dollars. And at some point, they just agreed to disagree, and then he's going to ride off into the sunset. So his hands are clean. You'll notice they don't say that he's retiring. They phrase it as exiting his role. It's very interesting. I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished together at Warner Brothers Games during my time with the company. It's been an absolute pleasure working on and building our iconic gaming franchises. I will continue to be enthusiastic supportive of this talented team's future endeavors. I look forward to working on the next chapter of my career. I will always be grateful for my time with Warner Brothers Games. It says he's not doing that. He has decided to depart the company. He's not retiring. Like, it really does start to sound like there's been some shift that he didn't want to be a part of. And I think, at some point, if a company tells you 15,000 times that they are focused on mobile and live service games moving forward, at some point after the 15,001th time, you should listen. And so this, again, is just another time where I'm like, okay, we're going to watch Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever it is very closely, because this was the last guy, at least that we know of publicly, who was very, very insistent and seemed to get why Hogwarts Legacy popped off. Whereas David Zaslav is like, no, we'll just make Hogwarts Legacy 2 and make it live service and then put it on phones. Like it's the ultimate boomer mentality of just not understanding at all what he's talking about. It's just, it's crazy. So you would think after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, they would be sitting up and maybe paying attention and being like, hey, maybe this is a bad idea, but apparently not. I think perhaps more telling than just him leaving, though, is going to be seeing who they put in his place. Because as with all of these things, you can tell a lot about a company's goals and ideas based on who they put in certain positions. Like Apple, when they replaced Steve Jobs, when he stepped down before he passed away, they replaced him with Tim Cook. Tim Cook came from the supply chain side of their business, and his main claim to fame was his ability to distribute Apple products internationally. And so they brought Tim Cook on to try and help expand the iPhone business into China, into India, into all of these other markets. They still haven't been able to break into Indonesia, but they're trying. So that can tell you a lot about what they're doing. Same with Jim Ryan. PlayStation hires Jim Ryan to head up their business, and his big push was live service stuff. And that told you PlayStation's going to try to push live service first and foremost. And that's what they did over the next 4 years, over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's been an unmitigated disaster. And with this, whoever they put in his place, whoever they replace him with, is going to tell you everything you need to know, whether they learned from Suicide Squad or not. And I'm guessing they didn't. And it's just going to make me, watch Hogwarts Legacy 2 all the more carefully. And maybe, that could stand a chance of being still good and not monetized out the ass because it's been created over the last couple years while David Haddad has been in his position. But I would not be shocked at all if part of this departure is motivated by a disagreement on direction. So we'll see. So Suicide Squad Concord wasn't good enough to teach the boomer suits a lesson. No, part of it is like that is part of the expectation. As we've said, like the goal with live service has been that you work on 20 projects, and if one of them pops off and becomes a Fortnite level success, it pays for all the flops and then some, because it makes so many billions of dollars. So to launch a Concord and have it blow up and be a disaster and lose tons of money is almost expected. Like that's just part of the process of trying to get a live service game off the ground. Like you're going to make a lot of stuff that doesn't connect, but you just hope you find one that pops off. How many flops does it take to get a W? I think PlayStation has now realized too many. And that's why you're seeing Hiroki Totoki come in and like kick ass and take names and be like, we're not doing this anymore. What are we doing? We're not wasting another $5 billion on this stuff. So they're making that pivot, but we'll see. Warner Brothers, I don't think is learning the lesson. They're so desperate for something that I think they're just going to start chucking Hail Marys. And if that Hail Mary is a Hogwarts Legacy live service game, I think that is what they're going to try to do,